We've all seen countless movies about daring heists and clever robberies. But this story, this one stands apart. It isn't about an ordinary thief. It's about a man so brilliant, so untouchable, that calling him a criminal almost feels wrong. To him, stealing wasn't just survival, it was art. A master illusionist in the shadows. A ghost who vanished before anyone could even blink. This is the story of the one and only Diabolik. The story's main character, the infamous thief Diabolik, was always dressed head to toe in black. No one had ever seen his real face. He was such an expert at his work that the police could never lay hands on him. One day, after robbing a bank in Italy of priceless treasures, Diabolik was escaping when the police launched a chase. Somehow, they managed to block his way. This time, the officers thought there was no chance he could escape. But suddenly, Diabolik pressed a button in his car, instantly raising the road beneath him. He slid right over the police cars and sped off, leaving them shocked. But the chase wasn't over yet. Another police team tailed him. This time, Diabolik released poisonous gas from his car, knocking all the officers unconscious. Even then, he wasn't in the clear, because Inspector Ginkgo himself was on his trail. But after a while, Ginkgo spotted Diabolik's car overturned on the road. Strangely, Diabolik was nowhere to be found. Frustrated, Ginkgo realized he had slipped away once again. Meanwhile, at a grand party, we see the defense minister, Giorgio, mingling with other guests. Soon, a woman named Eva arrives. Giorgio rushes forward to welcome her. Eva was a famous businesswoman in the city, but not because of her own empire. She had married an aging billionaire, and after his death, inherited all his wealth and property. With her beauty and lavish lifestyle, Eva was always the center of attention. Naturally, her arrival at the party excited everyone. During the conversations, the topic of Diabolik came up. Guests warned Eva to stay alert, because Diabolik could strike at her fortune anytime. Despite being a criminal, people couldn't help but admire his brilliance. Hearing all this sparked a strange curiosity in Eva's heart. When the party ended, Giorgio offered to drop Eva home, but she refused. And this leaves us with one big question. What is the real connection between Giorgio and Eva? The answer we'll discover soon. As Eva left, Inspector Ginkgo suddenly blocked her way. She was surprised to see him, but Ginkgo warned her Diabolik might still target her. This left Eva tense. Later, while discussing matters with Ginkgo at a restaurant, it was revealed that Eva owned a very rare, priceless pink diamond. Ginkgo was certain Diabolik would try to steal it. He carefully noted all her details, what hotel she was staying in, her room number, and whether she had company. Before leaving, he warned her once again, don't trust anyone. Diabolik's face has never been seen. He could be the hotel manager, a waiter, or even me. Eva reluctantly agreed, and Ginkgo left. At Eva's hotel, a waiter named Roberto was specially assigned to serve her. One night, Roberto was gossiping with his friends about Eva. What he didn't know was that a hidden speaker inside Eva's room was transmitting all their conversation directly to Diabolik. Later that night, as Roberto was heading home, a mysterious figure attacked him. It was Diabolik. He killed Roberto and hid his body. Afterwards, Diabolik replayed Roberto's voice recordings again and again, practicing until he could mimic his way of speaking perfectly. And for the first time, we finally catch a glimpse of Diabolik's real face. The scene then shifts. We see a woman named Elizabeth, distraught because her husband Walter hadn't returned home in days. She deeply loved him, but he had never valued her affection. Broken-hearted, Elizabeth grew even sadder. Her friend comforted her, saying Walter must be in some kind of trouble, but surely he would return. Meanwhile, back at Eva's hotel, the staff gave her a grand welcome. She was soon introduced to Roberto, who served her politely. After a brief chat, Eva went to her room, with Roberto following closely behind. But wait, hadn't Roberto been killed the night before? Then who was this man? The truth was chilling. This wasn't the real Roberto at all. But in reality, Roberto was none other than Diabolik in disguise, keeping a close watch on Eva. When Eva went into the bathroom to take a shower, Diabolik seized the moment and tried to open her locker. Inside, it was the rare pink diamond. Strangely enough, such a priceless gem had been kept in such a simple locker that Diabolik cracked it open within minutes. But just as he was about to pull the diamond out, Eva stepped out of the washroom. Forced to hide, Diabolik quietly watched her from the shadows. When Eva noticed him, she smiled and casually asked, "Do you need something?" She dismissed him, and Diabolik quietly left. That same night, Elizabeth returned home to find her husband Walter waiting for her. Overjoyed, she ran into his arms. But here's the twist. Walter was actually Diabolik himself, though Elizabeth had no idea. Walter told her he had only come to see her briefly, but couldn't stay long as he had urgent work. Disheartened, Elizabeth begged him to stay for dinner, but Walter refused and left. Meanwhile, Eva visited Giorgio. During their meeting, Giorgio tried to get close to her, but Eva rejected his advance. Furious, Giorgio revealed his real connection with her. He was actually Eva's fiancé, and they were soon to be married. But looking at Eva's face, it was clear that love had nothing to do with this engagement. With clever excuses, she slipped away. That same night, under the cover of darkness, Diabolik broke into Eva's hotel room again. He tried once more to open the locker, but Eva returned suddenly. She sensed something strange in the room, almost as if someone was inside. Suddenly, Diabolik grabbed her from behind, trying to scare her. But to his surprise, Eva wasn't afraid at all. Instead, she calmly told him the pink diamond he wanted was actually fake, and that the real one wasn't with her. Diabolik didn't believe her. To him, it was impossible that a wealthy woman like Eva would wear a fake jewel. Eva explained that she only wore the fake diamond to maintain her image. The real one had been sold long ago. Still skeptical, Diabolik threatened her. "If you're lying, next time I won't come for the diamond, I'll come for your life." But even this didn't scare Eva. Instead, she tried to seduce him. The truth was, after hearing so much about Diabolik, she had developed a strange fantasy about him, and now that he stood before her, she couldn't resist. But Diabolik wasn't so easily swayed. Just when Eva tried to get closer, he vanished into the night, leaving her even more intrigued. At his secret hideout, Diabolik examined the diamond and realized Eva had been telling the truth. It was indeed fake. The scene shifts to midnight. Elizabeth wakes up and steps onto the balcony, where she sees a strange man in a black coat slipping out of the garden. Terrified, she rushes back inside, only to hear footsteps within her house. Panic set in. Could it be Diabolik returning? Gathering her courage, she followed the sound, only to find Walter standing there. Relieved, Elizabeth told him everything, but Walter brushed it off, insisting she must have imagined it. After all, she had been drinking earlier that evening. Slowly, Elizabeth convinced herself it was just a misunderstanding. The next morning, Eva woke to a shocking discovery. The fake diamond ring had been returned to her room by none other than Diabolik. She was stunned. Slipping in during the night was one thing, but how had he managed to enter her hotel in broad daylight? Confused, she called for Roberto. He was right outside, and as soon as she called, he entered. Everything seemed too strange. And then, Diabolik revealed the truth. Before Eva's eyes, he pulled off Roberto's mask and showed her his real face. For the first time, someone had actually seen the true Diabolik. Yes, Elizabeth had seen him before too, but she never knew Walter was really Diabolik. But why did he choose to reveal his identity only to Eva? The answer was clear. He had begun to like her. The night before, she had every chance to expose him, but instead, she had stayed quiet. That's what made him trust her, even if just a little. Eva, already fascinated by Diabolik, was overwhelmed to finally see him. She couldn't resist, and the two grew closer. She then asked him, "Do you trust me now?" Diabolik was torn. His heart wanted to believe her, but his mind refused. During their conversation, another shocking truth emerged. From the very beginning, Diabolik had been circling around Eva. In fact, the very first day when Inspector Ginkgo had warned her about him, that wasn't Ginkgo at all. It was Diabolik himself in disguise. Shaken, Eva finally asked him his real name. Diabolik replied, "People know me as Walter." The world only knew him by the name Walter, but even that wasn't his real identity. Eva quickly realized that Diabolik would never reveal his true self to anyone, so she didn't press further. Instead, she began sharing her own truth. Eva told him about Giorgio. She confessed that she never wanted to marry him, but she couldn't refuse either. The reason? Giorgio held some highly sensitive documents from her past dark secrets that, if revealed, would destroy her reputation forever. Giorgio had threatened her. If she said no to the marriage, he would expose everything. With no other choice, Eva was forced to say yes. Hearing this, Diabolik promised her that within 24 hours, those documents would be in her hands. But there was a problem. Eva had no way to contact him afterward. That's when Diabolik gave her the address of a cafe, along with the time. "I'll be waiting there," he said. Eva asked, "But if you don't come in your real face, how will I know it's you?" Diabolik smiled and explained that he would use a special code, a sign only she would recognize. The two carefully planned their meeting. Meanwhile, the hotel manager began searching for Roberto, who had mysteriously vanished. From the reception desk, he learned that Roberto had last been seen entering Eva's room but never came out. Suspicion grew, and the manager immediately rushed to her room. Eva had no choice. She quickly hid Diabolik inside her wardrobe. Pretending to have just been woken up, she opened the door and acted annoyed that her sleep was disturbed. She tried hard to keep the manager from entering, but he forced his way inside, looking for excuses to check around. Casually, he asked her about Roberto. Eva lied, saying he had come in the morning to serve her breakfast, and she hadn't seen him since. But the manager wasn't convinced. He insisted on searching the entire room. Realizing that his suspicion was real, Eva cleverly used a sound code to alert Diabolik inside the wardrobe. Then, pretending to cooperate, she sent the manager to check the bathroom. In that brief moment, she quickly helped Diabolik slip out of the wardrobe and escape from the room. Meanwhile, Elizabeth couldn't stop thinking about what she had seen the previous night. Deep inside, she was sure she hadn't imagined it. Determined, she went into the garden to investigate. After searching carefully, she actually discovered a hidden passageway. As she stepped on a button hidden under the grass, the ground shifted open, revealing a secret underground entrance. Terrified, Elizabeth slowly stepped inside. What she saw made her blood run cold. Rows of masks lined up, strange chemicals stored everywhere. It became clear this was Diabolik's secret hideout. Horrified, she immediately alerted the police. Inspector Ginkgo arrived with his team, and after checking everything, they too became convinced. Elizabeth's husband was none other than Diabolik. On the other side, Diabolik was driving back when he pressed a hidden switch. A section of the mountain suddenly opened, revealing a secret tunnel. This was one of the many secret pathways he had built for his mission. But as he entered his hideout, a shock awaited him. Inspector Ginkgo was already inside, lying in wait. And just like that, Diabolik was finally captured. The next day, Eva arrived at the cafe, waiting anxiously for him. Hours passed, but he never showed up. She began to think he had abandoned her on purpose. But then, overhearing people around her, she picked up a newspaper, and the shocking headline hit her hard. Diabolik had been arrested by the police. That very day, he was presented in court. Eva too attended, trying to communicate with him through subtle gestures. But Diabolik didn't look at her even once, because even a single glance could make the police suspicious of her involvement. As expected by Inspector Ginkgo, the judge declared the harshest punishment: death sentence. Yet, even after hearing it, Diabolik's face showed no fear. His calmness was chilling. Meanwhile, Eva quietly slipped away from court and went straight to a wall nearby. Pressing the third brick, a secret door opened and a car slid out in front of her. Driving it straight to Diabolik's secret base, she collected 2 special chemicals. But here came the real twist. How did Eva know about his secret hideout? How did she know exactly which chemicals to take? The truth was, back in the courtroom, though Diabolik never looked directly at her, he had secretly communicated with her through eye-coded language. Following his silent instructions, Eva had retrieved the chemicals. Next, she went straight to Giorgio's office. Seeing her, Giorgio was shocked. Eva pleaded with him to allow her one last meeting with Diabolik before his execution. Giorgio flatly refused, knowing that such a meeting would raise questions. But Eva wasn't one to give up. She reminded him that as the defense minister, arranging such a meeting would be easy for him. Then she blackmailed him. If he didn't help, she would refuse to marry him. To seal the deal, Eva pretended to be madly in love with Giorgio, convincing him with her act. Finally, Giorgio gave in, but on one condition: he too would accompany her during the meeting. Eva agreed, knowing she had no choice. Together, they visited Diabolik. For about half an hour, Eva and Diabolik spoke under Giorgio's watchful eyes before being escorted out. The very next day, preparations for Diabolik's execution began. At that time, executions weren't by hanging, they were by beheading. The executioner readied his blade. As Diabolik was brought forward, even with the shadow of death upon him, his face showed no fear. Watching this, Inspector Ginkgo was left stunned. At the execution ground, something felt strange. Diabolik stood calm, almost too calm. One officer whispered, "Sir, it looks like he's drugged, maybe unconscious." Hearing this, Inspector Ginkgo's instincts flared. He shouted for the executioner to stop, but it was too late. The blade had already fallen. The head rolled. Ginkgo rushed forward, trembling as he removed the mask. To his horror, it wasn't Diabolik at all. It was Giorgio, the defense minister himself. Shock rippled through the court. Not only had a powerful minister just been executed under their watch, but the most dangerous criminal, Diabolik, had escaped right from under their noses. The question remained: how? The truth was finally revealed. Eva's desperate plea to meet Diabolik, Giorgio's agreement, the chemicals she retrieved, it was all part of Diabolik's grand master plan. Long ago, he had crafted realistic masks of both himself and Giorgio. Eva hadn't just collected chemicals that day, she had also taken those masks. Together, they drugged Giorgio, forced him to reveal where Eva's secret documents were hidden in his personal locker, and even extracted the password. Then, putting Giorgio in Diabolik's mask, they sent him straight to the gallows, while Diabolik himself walked free, disguised as Giorgio. A perfect crime. Soon after, we see Diabolik in Giorgio's form, entering the minister's office. He opens the locker, retrieves Eva's documents, and escapes just as the police storm the building. They never suspected a thing. Meanwhile, at a bank, a wealthy woman came to deposit rare treasures. She nervously asked the manager about the locker's security. He proudly explained, "The walls are triple-layered steel. Breaking them is impossible. And the key? Only the owner has it." Satisfied, she left her valuables behind. But in reality, that woman was none other than Eva, sent by Diabolik to study the bank's defense. Inspector Ginkgo wasn't sitting idle either. Knowing Diabolik's taste for rare and priceless items, he narrowed his focus. Soon he guessed which bank would be his target and set up maximum security. Roads, alleys, even underground tunnels. Every path was guarded, but Diabolik was already there. Using the underground tunnel, he made his move. Sensors lined the path, but he was smarter. He released the water pipes, masking his sound from the detectors. In no time, he slipped inside the bank, bypassed the security, and secured the treasure. As he tried to escape, the police closed in. Diabolik fought fiercely, but then Inspector Ginkgo himself appeared and fired at him. Certain that he had finally ended Diabolik, Ginkgo approached, but fate had another twist. Suddenly, a gunshot rang out from behind. Eva had returned, firing at Ginkgo and rescuing Diabolik. Shocked at first, Diabolik realized she wasn't going to abandon him. For the first time, he placed complete trust in her. Wounded, Inspector Ginkgo could only watch helplessly as the two vanished into the night. Days later, we find Walter and Eva together, happier than ever. To impress her, Walter even brought back the original pink diamond. But Eva was no longer interested in jewels. She only wanted him. With a smile, she tossed the priceless diamond into the sea and embraced him tightly. And so, Diabolik proved once again that he was more than a thief. He was a legend. A man who turned crime into art, who outsmarted the law, and who disappeared into the shadows with nothing but a smile. Some called him dangerous, others called him brilliant. But everyone agreed on one thing: the world had never seen anyone like him.